Blood Meridian really is interesting, isn't it? How can a book with such a powerful aura become a meme? I take it back. I don't want you to read Geronimo's autobiography anymore. But in all honesty, I'm just never going to be able to stop trying to convince you. Sorry, conservatives, but there are 3 genders. Women, men, and men that have read Geronimo's autobiography. This video was supposed to be about Blood Meridian. This month, I wanted to make a video about Blood Meridian and conquistadors and fairy tales, but then this gentleman on my Twitch, he sent me a video which directed me to an essay, which made me realize I need to read like 5 more books. You know, the part of Blood Meridian that has definitely stuck out the most to me is the judge's introduction, wherein he enters a revivalist preacher's tent and he says, "This man is no priest. He is wanted in 4 states. He is a goat fucker. He is a pedophile." Then the peaceful flock transform into a pack of wolves and they start killing. Because humans are always ready to start killing, our favorite hobby is judgment. And that killing, that's the orgasm. You want to kill and you want to feel good about it. I've read the fucking books. The truth isn't that the Indians were savages, nor is it that my boys, Kyler and Braden, were the savages. No, we are all the savages, lower than animals. Because when your dog shits on the floor, it has the decency to look guilty. But a human will shit on your floor, and then they'll justify it. They will clear their throat, and they will say in a righteous voice, with all the oratory skill of Cicero, "I shit on the floor, because it had to be done." They'll bend reality to their will. They'll make the shit on the floor feel like something sacred, like it was the will of God Almighty. What they did, they say, was brave, necessary, the only thing which could be done. It would have been evil if they didn't shit on the floor, if you think about it, and that's the whole problem. You're not thinking about it. If you really think about it, I should be able to do whatever I want. Why did I shit on the floor? Because I am but God's humble instrument. I shouldn't have read Blood Meridian. Every 6 months, I'll rewatch True Detective, only season 1 obviously, or I'll just read something that I can't live with, and it just lays bare the reality of what we're dealing with here. I'm rebuilding the madness that I need to live right now. I am Don Quixote, which forms a critical part of my Blood Meridian essay, by the way, so you need to read that. Do you know what happened when Don Quixote was cured of his madness? When he stopped seeing the windmills as giants, he fucking died. We are going to be cool cobblers today. We're gonna calm right the fuck down, alright? We're gonna be chill. That's right, we're being cool today, Daddy-o. Hopeless, shaken by the depths of man's inhumanity to man. Not me, Kimosabe. Are you being cool? Are you being calm? I don't think you're being very cool. Be cool, be calm right now. Hell yeah. So if I've been writing and researching this nightmare essay about Blood Meridian and Don Quixote and conquistadors and cowboys, and if it's not ready yet, what do I do when it's the end of the month and Papa Cobbler needs to eat? I also did all this research about an Indian burial ground earlier this year, and the script was basically there. It's a really interesting if disturbing story. I read archaeological reports and this fucking Yeehaw Yahoo's book, The Perilous Trails of Texas. This guy lynched a lot of Mexicans. And, you know, I get that it's like, he states his case, and of course he had to do it to hear him tell it. If you could believe it, he really it would have been irresponsible for him not to do it, and they deserved it. I'm probably not thinking about it enough. John Donne was smart, and so he got to be judge, jury, and executioner. Not me, I'm just a stupid. The guy's company of Texas, he was a Texas Ranger, and they got disbanded for lynching random Mexicans. So, it's up to you, I guess. But yeah, I don't have it in me right now. Despite how fucking sick all the footage I got looks, like holy shit. But I really don't want to end the year like this. We're being cool cobblers. Let's calm the fuck down. It is the winter solstice, a time where we look away from the cold world around us and into the roaring fire. And don't think about the photo from Dresden. Did she deserve it? Oh, cool cobbler being a cool cobbler today. I want to talk about my favorite character in all of fiction today. It will be controversial. Cool cobbler is controversial. Sorry, it's just the way I operate. Cool cobbler is so edgy, you wouldn't believe it. Cool cobbler once jumped a dirt bike over 9 children while attempting to jump over 10. Let's talk about The Lord of the Rings. Sorry guys, I don't have time. Things aren't going great here at the moment. The conquistadors found my Instagram. And on that Instagram, well, I lie quite a bit, and I say that I have bitches, and I got money. Now, in actuality, of course, I stack no paper, and I get no hoes, but they will fall for anything they fucking read. So, all they had to do was look at my name on a People search site, and they found my address, my phone number, my everything. And now they're here. I should have used Incogni. Incogni tirelessly works on your behalf to remove your information from these nefarious websites. You know who these websites sell your information to? Scammers and canvassers and people that are trying to steal your identity. And of course, people that are trying to steal all your gold and teach you how to speak Spanish. No hablo español. I just didn't want to sign up for Incogni because, there are all these amazing job opportunities, and apparently I have a lot of family that's African royalty. You wouldn't know it to look at me. Incogni is the only way to really browse anonymously. I'm scared. Oh my god, how'd you find my location? Go to incogni.com/DJPeach for 60% off an annual plan. That's right, 60% off an annual plan. Thank you, Incogni, for sponsoring this video. I never liked fantasy. Although, as a teen and young man, I got quite invested in A Song of Ice and Fire because it was real and complicated and gritty, and I read actual history now. That's where I get my ambiguity and dark explorations of man's nature. That's sort of been the problem recently. That's supposed to be a man's life cycle, though, you know? As a boy, you read escapist genre fiction. Then as an old, you pick one of the 4 historical subgenres that old men like. The Civil War, World War II, the Wild West, boats. Oh, does your boyfriend think about the Roman Empire once a day? What part? Ovid? Does your boyfriend think about Ovid and how he got exiled for being too good of a hater? This sacred life cycle of man's choice of entertainment, escapist fiction as a boy, and genuine history as a man, has obviously gone out the window in recent generations. You see, once companies started to realize they could sell toys to adults, they then immediately realized you really cannot distill man's inhumanity to man into a Funko Pop. Now, of course, men, just like the boys they once were, continue to consume escapist films, shows, and books well into adulthood. Who started this? Escapist genre fiction for adults. The man-child phenomenon must be a fairly recent one, right? In what year was the first Triforce tattoo? This man-child epidemic was started, frustratingly, by a genuine gentleman and scholar. And I'm not doing the Redditor thing where that's just euphemism for a man that jerks off to cartoons. J.R.R. Tolkien was the first man to realize you could sell fairy tales to adults, and he was not immature nor mindlessly consumerist. I don't care if you like Star Wars, but I am being a militant hater, like my hero Ovid, for one reason. I didn't like Tolkien as a teenager. I didn't like fantasy, period. It sickened me, to be quite honest with you. The childish morality, the fucking songs, the whimsy. I hated the whimsy most of all. I read the book this last summer, as I was attempting to rebuild the fantasies which hold back the tide of misanthropy. Turns out that reading 10 books about men scalping each other for nickels will leave you desperate for the very escape that I was just criticizing. There's a nuance to my hating, bear with me. The morality of The Lord of the Rings is not as simple as my edgy teenage brain assumed. The morality of The Lord of the Rings is not ambiguous to a point. It was Sam's first view of a battle of men against men, and he did not like it much. He was glad that he could not see the dead face. He wondered what the man's name was and where he came from, and if he was really evil of heart, or what lies or threats had led him on the long march from his home, and if he would not really rather have stayed there in peace, all in a flash of thought which was quickly driven from his mind. But there it is. Men against men. Our heroes mostly fuck with orcs. They're all pissed off. They are born evil. They are irredeemable. They just crawl out of the mud, angry, looking to make the line go up, and the y-axis is murder. And the x-axis is also somehow murder. They don't even have women or children. They are born lawful combatants.
By fighting Uruk-hai.
You heard what he said? They're fair game. You couldn't war crime an orc if you tried. And I played Shadow of Mordor. I have tried. This 1,200-page book, including appendices, does not tell you how orcs are born. In Tolkien's letters, this is also not explained. It's explained in the Silmarillion, which I didn't fucking read. I'm here for my precious little hobbits. But in the Silmarillion, in a single line, it is said, "For the orcs had life and multiplied after the manner of the children of Ilúvatar," the men and the elves. Fuck. The International Criminal Court isn't going to like this very much. As is often discussed, The Lord of the Rings is a very Catholic book. The Lord of the Rings is of course a fundamentally religious and Catholic work, unconsciously so at first, but consciously in the revision. I find it very interesting that Tolkien created these irredeemable evil ghoulies, and yet took issue in his 269th letter with that same notion, where Tolkien responds to a fan criticizing him, as a Catholic, for creating sentient beings in his story, presumably with souls, who couldn't be redeemed. The reason I'm not quoting the letter directly is that he dances around the problem, neither honestly acknowledging what he did, nor explaining any nuance that may have been lost on the reader or, me. I wanted to emphasize that Tolkien himself did not see any people on Earth as actual analogs to orcs. He was religiously incapable of viewing people in that way. This is important because Tolkien fought in World War I. He lived through World War II, which his son fought through, and he was born in 1890. He ignored the siren's call of skull measuring. Redditors call Russian soldiers orcs, and they're gonna get pissed at me for saying this. I would like you to think carefully before you get pissed at me for saying this. Orcs aren't real? Uruk-hai is only a figure of speech. There are no genuine Uruks, that is, folk made bad by the intention of their maker, and not many who are so corrupted as to be irredeemable, though I fear it must be admitted that there are human creatures that seem irredeemable short of a special miracle, that there are probably abnormally many of such creatures in Deutschland and Nippon, but certainly these unhappy countries have no monopoly. There was a solemn article in the local paper seriously advocating systemic extermination of the entire German nation as the only proper course after military victory because, if you please, they are rattlesnakes and don't know the difference between good and evil. What of the writer? Why don't you be a cool cobbler like me and simply accept that your dehumanizing rhetoric is only truly dehumanizing yourself? Hell yeah. Let's talk about the best character in all of fiction, Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil is a controversial character which Tolkien created long before he imagined the epic saga of the One Ring. Based upon a doll which his children had, Tolkien wrote poetry of a whimsical man in the woods. Tolkien would controversially include Tom in his epic and comparatively gritty struggle between good and evil. Tom was, of course, not included in the films, and many ardent Tolkien fans consider him to be a bizarre and out-of-place inclusion in the books. In Chapter 6, before the hobbits have truly left the Shire and the story properly assumes the desperate tone of the broader narrative, Tom arrives to rescue Merry and Pippin from a sentient tree called Old Man Willow, who was in the process of voring them. Tom Bombadil rescues Merry and Pippin basically by telling the tree to stop being such a dick, before leading the hobbits to his home where they meet his elf wife Goldberry. Tom rescues the hobbits from the very first trials they face, including later from a Barrow Wight. Tom fits oddly, into not just the story, but the broader world building of The Lord of the Rings. For decades now, he's been speculated upon. Is he a hobbit or a man? An elf? Is he a Maya like Gandalf? He is, said Goldberry, staying her swift movements and smiling. Frodo looked at her questioningly. He is, as you have seen him, she said in answer to his look. He is the master of wood, water, and hill. Then all this strange land belongs to him? No, indeed, she answered, and her smile faded. That would indeed be a burden, she said in a low voice, as if to herself. The trees and the grasses and all things growing or living in the land belong each to themselves. Tom Bombadil is the master. No one has ever caught old Tom walking in the forest, wading in the water, leaping on the hilltops under light and shadow. He has no fear. Tom Bombadil is master. This is why I love Tom Bombadil. He is so powerful and whimsical, yet also very sinister. And he tells the wiki-writing nerds to actually go fuck themselves. Who is he? He is. Tom Bombadil is an eldritch, ancient being of unspeakable power and influence, who uses that power to sing songs and dick around in the woods and kiss his hot elf wife. Tolkien said, directly, even in a mythical age there must be some enigmas, as there always are. Tom Bombadil is one, intentionally. The One Ring, domination and desire made manifest in a piece of jewelry, tempts all that come across it, from men to Maya to elves. Even the most virtuous and powerful characters are lured in by the ring. But how does the ring seduce these people? By saying, come here, closer, closer. What if you're the guy? What if your judgments are the only judgments which matter, the only judgments which are correct? Wouldn't the world be a better place if you were in charge? The One Ring tells you the story that you're the hero of the story, that the will and sentience of others is only a roadblock between you and the utopia that you surely are capable of building with your unquestionable judgment. Tom Bombadil is the only character we see who's completely impervious to this line of argument. He's completely impervious to the line of argument because Tom Bombadil does not judge. He does not give a fuck what you do. He is concerned with what he does, and what he does is sing jaunty fucking songs and kiss his hot elf wife. Tom Bombadil is pure good, completely infallible. And he also illustrates how pure good is impossible. There are ramifications to Tom, aren't there? Tom Bombadil is not an important person to the narrative. I suppose he has some importance as a comment. I mean, I do not really write like that. He represents something that I feel important. I might put it this way. The story is cast in terms of a good side and a bad side. Beauty against ruthless ugliness. Tyranny against kingship. Moderated freedom with consent against compulsion that has long lost any object, save mere power, and so on. But both sides, in some degree, conservative or destructive, want a measure of control. But if you have, as it were, taken a vow of poverty, renounced control, and take your delight in things for themselves without reference to yourself, watching, observing, and to some extent knowing, then the question of the rights and wrongs of power and control might become utterly meaningless to you, and the means of power quite valueless. It is a natural pacifist view, which always arises in the mind when there is a war. But the view of Rivendell seems to be that it is an excellent thing to have represented, but there are in fact things with which it cannot cope, and upon which its existence nonetheless depends. Ultimately, only the victory of the West will allow Bombadil to continue or even to survive. Nothing would be left for him in the world of Sauron. What? I'm not filming this days later because I was unhappy with the conclusion. That's crazy. You're crazy. You need help. And if you comment that I am filming this days later, then help will arrive. Let's dissect this beefy quote. I know it's a lot to take in all at once, but you're a big girl, and I believe you can manage. The good in Lord of the Rings isn't really a pure good. It's very prone to temptation. And also, well, the boys kick too much ass to be pure good, and the titular king, which returns, is a king. Evil in Tolkien's world is domination, and a king sort of calls the shots. There's a cat under my desk. Yes. You see, I would use the One Ring to shut you the fuck up. Tom is powerful, so powerful that during the Council of Elrond, the possibility of just giving this guy the ring, it's brought up. And Gandalf replies, in essence, he's too whimsical, he's gonna lose the fucking ring. Ow! Are you fucking serious? The reason I'm emphasizing the orc women and the orc children is because they theoretically exist, and yet are absolutely never shown. But with women and children, they're hardly different from our heroes. Other than the obvious. I mean, these skulls are obviously wrong. What do our heroes fight for? Well, their women and their children, and the future which those two groups represent. But they also fight for Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil could not survive Sauron's world despite his incredible power. Is Tom then selfish for refusing to levy his unimaginable power in service to the fight against Sauron? Is he not morally obligated to conduct indiscriminate aerial bombardments on orc villages? Bombardments, if you would. But Tom Bombadil is a master, an indisputable master, which never commands. Does Tom's existence make our heroes' sacrifices all the more powerful? Tom refutes what I've taken to calling the barbarian's retort. Your village is burning, your children enslaved, your wife is being carried over the hill so that she can be, demonetized, and you are bleeding all over the threshold to death itself. And as the barbarian prepares to finish you off, you say, "You're not a very good person, Mr. Barbarian." Of course, you can't appeal to the barbarian's sense of right and wrong, because the barbarian believes something which he's probably not even going to bother to say out loud in your final moments. The barbarian believes that the difference between you and him is not a moral one. It is only a difference in strength. You'd be burning the barbarian's village, carrying off his wife and enslaving his children if you were strong enough. But you're not strong enough. And so the axe swings down. Tom Bombadil embodies power unexpressed. He is a being who has the power to become Sauron and yet is not even tempted by the possibility. His existence refutes the barbarian in a more powerful way than even the hobbits do. Would the hobbits choose to be hobbits if they were as strong as the big people? Tolkien argues that yes, and that is demonstrated by their general resistance to the One Ring. But Bombadil is an even more pure expression of a hobbit's mentality brought up to the level of sheer unimaginable power. Tom Bombadil denies the awesome, destructive potential of his own power, but in doing so, he also shirks responsibility. What's fascinating about Tolkien's world, what is so appealing about it, is not that it's a world without evil, it's that the evil is properly cordoned off from the good. The evil is snarling and inhuman. It forwards no argument at all, much less a compelling one. The people of Middle-earth were still living on the borders of myth, for of course the shadow will arise again in a sense, as is clearly foretold by Gandalf, but never again will an evil demon be incarnate as a physical enemy. He will direct men, and all the complications of half-evils and defective goods, and the twilights of doubt as to sides, such situations as he most loves. Those will be, and are, our more difficult fate. But if you imagine people in such a mythical state, in which evil is largely incarnate, and in which physical resistance to it is a major act of loyalty to God, I think you would have the good people in just such a state, concentrated on the negative, the resistance to the false. Evil which is snarling, animalistic, and obvious, evil which forwards no compelling argument beyond coercion, that's a very comfortable sort of evil. You know why I'm really going after fairy tales? The conquistadors loved fairy tales. A human life is a profound responsibility, and we don't always live up to that. I certainly don't. But when you open your stupid fucking mouth, and you bring your fairy tale, hard judgment bullshit into this real and nebulous world, you failed. You're paving the way for horrors beyond your comprehension. The reason that the judge Holden moved that flock to violence so easily was because they wanted to believe what he told them. We want to hate each other far more than we're willing to admit. And I'm not immune from that. Our judgments have carried with them more and more weight with the passage of time, as the world's population has grown and our power to subtract from it has grown. I do think about the Romans once a day, but I also read about them. It's important that you do both parts, and I think that if you gave the atomic bomb to the Romans, they'd use it all the time. Like, they wouldn't even think about it. The idea of withholding it ever would strike them as unimaginable pussy shit. Like, stop being a bitch and just kill everyone, you fucking idiot. The reason I'm thinking about atomic weapons so much, well, Tolkien compared the One Ring to them. I know that my judgment is not infallible, because if I were there in 1945, as I am today, I would be completely convinced that we would not have made it this far without using them on each other again. And I would have been wrong. You're all better than I think you are. Thank you for watching from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sticking with me through this difficult year. I think the next one's going to be a lot better. It's been a difficult year of some ups and downs, and thank you for sticking with me through that. I've made some of my best videos this year, and also some of my worst. I hope I don't get oatmeal in the microphone again. The build quality YouTube has inexplicably remonetized me, which I did not expect, and I have no idea why they suddenly decided to do that, but it's good news. Very, very happy to see that. Yeehaw Winter will be the end. Probably. What I do know is I really want to talk about Columbus, and my god, am I tired of these fucking Yeehaw Yahoos and their bullshit. Our Yeehaw arc will definitely have to end with, Blood Meridian. Thank you for watching, thank you for your patience, and I hope you have a great new year.